Welcome back. I hope you did your homework. If it's your first time, I'm your Professor Pixel Pete. I'm grading attendance, so don't miss any more classes. Pull out your graph paper and color pencils. We're about to do some pixel art. I'm one of the artists working on Dwarf, and I'll show you how to do good pixel art, even if you suck.
You can wishlist Dwarf on itch or Steam now. Yay!
A friend of mine, Steve Dage, is so much better at drawing than me, but the cool thing about pixel art is that it's not about hyper-realism and detail, it's more about style and creativity. The point is, you don't have to be super good at drawing to do pixel art. If you're going to be a pixel artist, I highly recommend you create a Pinterest to start consuming pixel art. Create a board to have references for different stuff like game UI and pixel characters. If you want a starting point, just follow me on Pinterest. Same goes for Twitter. I only follow game devs and pixel artists, so that way when I get on Twitter, it's all just inspiration. There's a couple of cool things that I want to show you guys. You can bookmark your favorite tweets, so that way you have some quick references without having to save stuff to your computer. So you can also create lists. And what list does is it filters your Twitter feed just to specific people. So all you gotta do is make a new group. Actually, it's a new list. And add a couple of cool people like me, Sun, the other pixel artist working on Dwarf, and Half Human Games, my indie game company. And look at that. As you're looking at pixel art, you'll notice that there's all sorts of different styles, and each of these are different techniques and require different skill sets. For example, the 1-bit art style. It looks pretty cool, and but it has pretty bad readability. You can screw this one up pretty easily. I like how Downwell did it though. Let me show you this. So as you can see, all the things that you can interact with have red on them. And this gives the player information. And an example of this is Nuclear Throne. So for example, the enemy bullets are always red and the player bullets are yellow. In a top-down shooter, you wouldn't want the enemy bullets and the player bullets to be the same color because it'd be confusing. You see that the bullets are yellow and the enemy, whether it shoots a laser or whatever, it's always red. And that's really great because you want your art to be easily readable. So then there's art styles that have no outlines. For example, Moonlighter. You should probably know this, but if you're ever looking at a reference and you want to see the picture bigger, you can right click and hit open image in new tab, and then it'll open the image at its actual size, and you can even zoom in if the image is larger than your monitor. But look at this, there are no outlines here, so they have to very heavily rely on color for you to be able to tell where edges of objects are because they're not using outline. And in this kind of case, you really can't put the same color on top of each other. I'm gonna draw a character in every style, and I recommend you do the same thing and find out what you're good at. Because some of it might come easy and some of it might be extremely hard. So you should probably do an art style, you know, for like one of your first games that is very easy for you to do. So here we go, let's start with 1-bit. I'm using Sprite, and it has this tool that lets you mirror something from one side to the other, and it's perfect for drawing characters, as you can see, bam. So whenever you're drawing characters, especially if you're doing 16 by 16, which is what this box is, you want to focus on the face. You can focus on the body if that's important for your game, but usually it won't be, right? And if you want to show personality in a character, the face is what's most important. You only need maybe at a minimum of like 3 pixels for a body, so you got all this room to work on a character's expression, and that's fantastic. I would go for the tiny body, big head style, especially for 16 by 16. So I think our 1-bit bear is done. And as you can see, I didn't really put too much detail into it, and with 1-bit art, you really don't want to because then it'll really decrease the readability. All right, so the next one I'm going to do is going to have a hard black outline. So I think our dark outline version is done. Some people like to do this version with a lot less shading. And though it is nice, I don't really see much of a reason, unless your game's very animation heavy, I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't add more shading to it. Now that I did these, I kind of want to go back and actually modify the 8-bit one as well. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is take what I just drew, and instead of it having a black outline all around, I'm also going to shade the outline. A lot of the new pixel artists forget about this, and it can give what you're drawing a lot more form. You should comment below and let me know what you struggle with most, like character design, coloring, or perspective. I think I'm done with this, with the shading of the outline for this last bear here. And I did go back and change a few little things here and there. As you can see, it progressively gets harder and harder, which means that your sprites are going to take longer and longer to animate and to do, because if you do something at this level of quality, then the rest of your game has to be at that level of quality. And this is why a lot of artists, also indie artists, indie game developers, choose to do 16 by 16, because if you do 32 by 32, then every single one of your sprites is going to take 4 times longer. It's not just going to take twice as longer, because it's not just twice the amount of pixels, it's actually 4 times longer. Because imagine if it took you 5 minutes to draw this, it's like drawing 4 of those. He's so cute, don't you just want to squish him till his head pops off? All the art that I make is going to be free for you to use in your projects. You'll be able to download it on my itch, link in the description. I'm going to do a bunch of cool stuff like tile maps and stuff, so you should follow so you know when I update my sprite sheet. Shout out to my followers. I know I didn't dive deep into line technique and shading technique, but don't worry, I'm going to teach you that. There's also art styles that I didn't cover, and honestly, each one of these deserves its own episode, so be sure to subscribe. Your homework for this week is to follow Pixel Artists on Twitter and create those Pinterest boards. I'll see you next week. Dev Life!